Good afternoon and welcome to my webinar. My name is Antony Larose and I work in the UK licensing team. Today's webinar is based on taking a paper-based form and replicating that to be used in FileMaker on multiple devices, be it Mac, PC, browser and iPad. Before I go on, I just want to first of all check you can see my screen and you can hear me loud and clear. On your control panel, there's a questions tab. If you could find that now for me and just type in there that you can hear me loud and clear and you can see the screen. Once I get that feedback, I will carry on with this webinar. Great. Always good that you can see my screen and hear me. Right, yeah, so today's webinar is based on this paper form. It's a form that was given to us by a prospective customer. We've changed the logo and name and made that up, but it's a retail outlet, and they were using a paper form to look after their staff, and as they have numerous stores, it was becoming an issue trying to look after all the information of all their staff that they have on their books. So what I'm going to do in the next sort of 25 minutes is show you how to take that paper-based form and replicate that in FileMaker, but also not just create it again in FileMaker, but use some of the features of FileMaker to make the actual process a lot easier, a lot more refined, and also give the staff who's using FileMaker the ability to use lots of features of FileMaker where you drop down lists and adding files and so on, so that you can see them, see why it's a benefit for using FileMaker. So first of all, what we do, we just go into FileMaker and we literally go File, New Database. It's going to ask you to save that file. So this way we're going to do is we're going to call it Retail Solution. I'll put the date on there because at the end of this webinar, I'm going to open it up so that you can all see this solution through your browsers at your end. So 19th of Jan. Here we go. Save it to desktop. So there's our file now on our desktop. So it's going to first of all, we're going to just change, go to a new layout. So we just want to do a layout which is going to be used on an iPad, and we're going to call it the iPad layout. It's a touch device, and it's going to be a form. And you can pick which way you want it, portrait or landscape, and finish it. It then pulls all, you see there's a dynamic guideline around the outside there, which is the orange line, and that's pulling in the actual layout, so that anything that shows within there is going to show onto the iPad layout. So first of all, just got a logo. I'm going to drag that and drop that over to our layout. We'll just make that a little bit bigger. We then say, well, actually, we want to say what it is, so a bit of text on the layout. So if you click on the T button and then do a little area, and then we can say on here, new employee form. If the font size isn't quite right, we have a tool here. We just click on the double A, brings it up, and then you could change the font on that, just make it a little bit bigger. And we just want to say move that up over to that corner. If it comes over the edge, don't worry, you can just move that in, so it can, we go, it's in the top right hand corner there. So if we want to start creating fields now, what we need to do is we have a field picker. Mine's already open there, but if you click on toolbar there, field picker, and it brings it up, and now we can start creating some new fields. So we could put name. We'll do that as a text field, and we add some other fields on there. Just go new. We got title, again text, and then we got address, and then telephone. You get the gist of it, how to then create some of these fields. So join date. So with some of the telephone, you can change that to a number field. So if you're on the iPad, it just comes up with the number keypad. It also stops people putting in text into those fields as well, which would mean it wouldn't work. Join date, we're going to do that as a date field. We're going to go to other ones, which are maiden name. Again, change that to text. What else have we got? We've got postcode, mobile. Oh, go with number for that one. And then we're going to go into date of birth. And what we're going to do now, so we go driver, date of birth is going to be a date, and you get the gist of what we're doing now. Driver, text, and then the last one on this one, I think we've got driver, and we're going to do, next one is gender. Again, text field. Another thing I'm going to put on here is employee ID. Maybe they haven't got this on the form, so let's just add that on. So just going to call it ID number, and that's going to be a number. I'm going to move that. You can see you can move these around, because what I'm going to do now is bring my name and my ID number. I'm going to bring it over to my layout. So literally all you do is you highlight the fields like that. You can hold down the control button. You can bring them across with the field name to the left or the field name to the top. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to bring them vertically, horizontally rather than vertically, and bring them onto my layout like so. So now, there we go. Let's bring that across, make that a little bit bigger. So I'm going to put the name at the top of our layout. I've got another tool that I want to show you to use, which is tab control. So I'll show you why this is really useful. So we can create a tab control on our layout and then create, so all this real estate here can be used a number of times. So this is where we're going to put employee details, create, and you start creating the tabs. There we go. Personal data. So that's going to be your, I think it was a national insurance, bank, sort code. And then we're going to do, we're going to show you then how to manage the documents. Create that. And then the other ones we're going to be line manager. I think down here they've got line manager details. And also we've got, I'm going to add another feature into this and say, well, not only do we just want to manage the staff, but say we've got some assets that go against that staff member, be it a Mac, maybe a phone, an iPad, screen, printer, that type of thing. So I'm going to show you how to bring other data into this file and then relate it so you can show the assets against that. So it's moving this paper form on and making it even more of a solution to in the end, sort of, I suppose, run somebody's business. So once we've okayed that, it's put all our tabs on our layout, so we can now start bringing some fields across to our tabs. First of all, I want to do, if you right-click on here, I just want to arrange this tab and lock it. So just locking that tab, so I can't move it anywhere now. Now it's on there. So with our employee details, we're now going to go to title, address, join date, which we're going to go all the way down to gender, and we're going to bring that across to our layout. I'm going to bring it with the field name to the left, and I'm going to bring them stacked onto each other and bring that across like so. So now I can start making sure these fields are used correctly. So you can grab hold of these fields and just move them out so they fit the size. Sometimes number fields and date fields are normally shorter, but I think it looks better if they're all the same length, like so. So if we got title, I'm just thinking I need some more details on my address, so I can just hover over and sort of grab and pinch everything, and then let me just right click and make sure we're arranging and lock the. There we go, that's locked now. So now if I go and grab all of my fields and then move that down and just give myself another couple of lines on the address. There we go. So title, a couple of things we could do for that. To make the user easier to put the data in, so we can click on there and it comes up with our inspector tool here. If that doesn't come up straight away, it's the one that's here, that's the inspector. So make sure the fields in here display data from retail solution name, and then the title. We can do here is do a drop down list. I'm going to include an arrow to show there's a list there, and then we're going to create a list, and we're going to call this list title. And then we can just put in here Mr., Mrs., Miss, Doctor, etc. OK that, and OK that. And also I can say allow editing of the value field. So if there's one that's not in there they want to use, then they can change it, and then it'll add in for everyone as well. So if I exit that layout now, you see these fields are all created on here. And now if we were to do a new record, we can say, well, the employee would be, 1. And we can say, oh, there you go, you've got a drop-down list now to pre-populate the data in there. With some of these other ones, with join date, if we edit the layout again, always remember you have to go into the layout mode to be able to change your the fields or the solution. Join date, well, actually, we want to create a drop-down list. We've already said that it was a date field over here. Makes it a lot easier for us. So now we can do a drop-down calendar. We include an icon there. So that they can just pick the date of birth. We can then do the same. We can do a calendar drop down again. That we may want to do something that's different with driver. We can just create a new list. Cancel that. Sorry. We want to do a radio button. I'll show you why this is really good. Let me create a new list. And we can call it driver, or we can call it yes. I think a yes no list would probably be better on this one. And then just literally type in here what you want to appear in that on the buttons, on the radio buttons. OK that. So now we've got our list. You can just squeeze it up, puts it onto one line. So you bring that down just to level that out on the there. So now we can click on there and say driver yes no. Again with gender, we can do another one which is going to be a radio button again, and this time we're going to create a new list called gender. The great thing about these is that you can use them again and again. Do capitals and OK that. OK, and then move that back onto the same line like so. There we go. Move. There you go, that's now on the same. So if we exit again, that saves it. You can see now that if someone's going to use this, and they could be inputting the data onto an iPad, and it just makes it really easy to say there's his join date, when were they born, you can say go back all the years, and just add the data, and it stops people putting it in the wrong format. So they might just put it to the 12th of the 12th of the first, and you think, well, what month, year, and then the year. They might put just the one date 93, and then all of a sudden, if you're trying to search on it, it's going to be really hard. And you can see that it's then really quick to put these in and on top. So that's our let's put a name on here. So that's what we've done on the form so far. We just now need to do our banking details, so personal data. So we're going to go into layout mode, and then we're going to go to our field picker again and add that. And now we're going to do national number. That'll be number field. We need bank what was the bank name? That's going to be text field, and then we're going to go for bank sort. It's a number, and bank account number. That's a number again. What else have we got here? I think that'd be fine. So then, so what we then do is go to our personal data. If you think, well, that label's not quite right, you can click in there. First of all, we need to unlock it, so we can go unlock. We then click in here. We can then change the personal data to bank details, rename. Okay, and that just changed that, you see. And now I'll go back in, arrange, lock, and what you're doing is locking that down again. So now we're going to go for our bank details and drag that over to that layout. Again, if the fields are not the right length, you can just click on 3 of them at the same time and bring those out to match our layout. There we go. So that's the bank details ones. The documents. So in this case, what they've done is they've put, say, well, they want a copy of a passport, they want the birth certificate, they want, are they any other jobs? Do they have the P45? That type of thing. So we need to now go and create our fields for this. So we're going to create some new field. We're going to call it passport. We're going to do something different on this one. We're going to call it a container field because it's going to contain something. Passport, and we've got birth certificate. Again, container. And then we're going to go to working. Let's label that one other jobs. That's going to be a text field. And then we've got P45 container. And then the last one was sign to join. There we go. Ooh. What was it? We're going to call it. They've put it signed by employer. We'll just do that then. There we go. And that's going to be a container again. So once we have our documents there, we want to now bring across our passport, all these fields, and bring them across to our layout. There we go. So once they're on our layout, we can maybe make these just a tiny bit bigger. Make sure that's on one line actually. So edit, undo, resize. So if you ever do anything you don't like, you say, well, edit, undo that. And then what we can do is just make sure these ones are a little bit bigger, like so. That's it. To fill the page out there. So what we can do now is start changing the way we use these fields. So other jobs, we can. I don't know what they've done on this form actually. Other jobs, and they've just got yes, no. So again, if you've got that scenario, you can make sure the field's in there. We do a radio button, and we go to our yes, no, and that's pre-populated, done, dusted. So we exit that layout. So we now have our sort of employee details bank. We have our documents that we're going to store in there. So line manager details. There's another thing we want to do there as well. We've got them signed by employee. So I just want to go into that. Maybe just reduce this down. Maybe make this a bit bigger, so they can see the signature in there. And we're going to create another field now and say signed date field, and then we're going to do a new field called signed by, just so they can type their name in, and that's a text field. Bring these two fields over to our layout, similar, and just put those at the bottom there, like so. Again, clicking on the field, make sure that's a drop-down calendar, and we're showing an icon in there. Make that a little bit bigger now. Great. So that's that line. We're now going to go to Line Manager. I'm going to start adding these fields on. So we're going to do the job title, store, department. Oh, it's typing very well today. Don't want to do that. Store salary or hour rate. Add that field. So then we're going to do contracted hours. And we're going to do status. Employee status, that wasn't it? Great. So now contract hours, make that a number, hourly rate. You can make it a currency field, but we'll see how we get on with time. So now, if we want to go into this, we're going to drag that over to our layout. Again, put it in the corner. So now we can I suppose job title, you could pre-populate there again, so you can go and say, well, actually, let's do a new, new list. We're going to do a drop-down list. We're going to call it new, and then we're going to call it job title. So if you know they're there, and you got store manager, and then you've got sales rep, accounts, so on. Okay, that include an arrow, so that's just allowing people to put that in, and then you can put stores again, go into a drop down list again, create a new list, and we call them stores. And you can say sort of Windsor. So all this effort that you're putting in now makes the information coming out the other end a lot better, because someone might just put Windsor, or could put Eton, Windsor and Eton, and all of a sudden you'll have lots of different things to search on. But if you put all these in, it just makes sure that the data that comes out the other end is well, I suppose, searchable as well. And go Henley, London, etc. Okay, that. And now, so if we exit our layout, save that, we can now see when we go into our line manager, we can use the you can use the stores again. Just realize I haven't put the drop down list in there, so you go edit, include an arrow to show that or hide it. We can just see that this one's not wide enough. Bring that out. See the blue lines come up. So there's lots of things you can do once you're building it, just to make it look even better. So now what I want to do now is, not only do we want to manage our sales staff and people in all our stores, we want to manage the assets against them. So I'm just going to create a couple of records just with some data in there. That's going to be employee 2, and then another one. That'd be 3, and then a new record. And that'd be 4. There we go. So we've got 4 records in there now. So I have a Excel file here. I wanted to, and all it is that it's got like monitor, iPad, and it's just basically an assets file for all the assets of the within all the retail stores. And it's got a record ID, an employee ID. So as long as you've got something to match it up against, you say, well, if someone came in and said, well, employee ID is Joe Bloggs, he's 1. one has all this information. So what we do is in FileMaker, you go File. This is where you can import records from a file. We're going to go to our desktop and find our assets file and open that. So this is importing in from Excel, so rather than creating it all. So it's going to say don't import the first row of records because that contains the field names, which it did, which we say along the top here is all the field names. So it's good, it creates those for us. It's saying, do you want to import it into the current table? Well, no, we want to create a new table called assets. And then it matches up the field names, you see. And we import that. So now we have our employee ID1, and here's the cost of the monitor, what inch it is, and the record of that asset. So if we were to go to our iPad layout, and we go to our assets. So I'm going to show you now is how to create a relationship in FileMaker. So what we do is we go to File, Manage, Database, and this is where we go to relationships. So we have our two tables now, and the way to relate it is to have the ID relate to the employee ID. So that's now saying if employee ID matches this, then we want to show it. So that's now we've made that. We now create our portal. So here across the top, if you hover over it, it says, here we go, where is it? Portal tool, display records from a related table on a layout. So we're going to use that. I'm going to put that on our tab. I was going to say, well, what related data do you want to include? Well, I actually want to include the assets table in there. I want to show maybe 5 records. I want to sort the portals. Let's cancel. This is and then we want to bring the data across. So maybe we want item model, bring that, and that over to our layout. So what we can then show that in the portal. So if we OK that, it's going to ask you to bring the fields across now that you want to show on that portal. So we may just want the cost, move, item, move, model. That's it. And then we can move these around. So well, actually, I want the cost to be at the bottom, the item to be at the top with a model, and so on. So now we've got that on our layout. If that didn't sort of work, well, I'll do one thing first to go back in and show. So now it's just showing. Well, it's got the monitor, it's got the thing. So our relationship has now started. So we go through our items, you can see everyone's got the assets associated against that screen. But at the moment, it doesn't come. Yeah, it's not showing the header. So if we go to layout mode, let me just basically show you something else you can do and a different way of doing it. We're going to take the fields off our solution. I'm just going to make the portal tool just a little bit smaller. I'll grab the corner there. There we go. Not allowed. Let's create a new portal and just make it a little bit smaller, this one, because I want the field names to be outside of that portal to show. So okay, that. So now I can actually come to my field picker. I can pick the table, seeing the assets. I can say, well, actually, I want the cost, and item cost. Where is it? Control, hold down the right one. So I want the cost, item, model, and I want to bring those fields over to this portal. I'm going to bring it with the field names to the top, and I'm going to bring them to their in one line. If you then move them onto it, slightly on and off of the portal, you see there the boxes. If I did that, it would just bring them across with the field names on the portal. If I do it half and half like that, it puts the field names over the top. So now if I exit my layout and go to the assets, you can see you've got cost, item, model. It's just a different way of doing it, but it just shows you. So So I think we're nearly there with the solution now. So what we've done is we've basically taken our paper-based form and we've made it really easy to input the data on, and by using date fields and radio buttons. I want to show you now how we can start sharing that. And then start adding some more information in, like the documents and so on. So what we do is we just need to enable the sharing first. We go File, Manage, Security. So we're going to go to Extended Privileges, and this is where we're saying FileMaker Web Directs. This is what we need to enable if we're going to use it on the browser, and then also FileMaker Network. So we're going to use it on the desktop, and OK that. So what I need to do now is now share this with my FileMaker server. So so we're going to OK that. We're going to just put the username and password in. So I'm not going to show you how to set up the server today. If you need help in doing that, then please contact our support team, and they can go through installing that with you. So put in our username and password for our server. I'm going to upload that to the server. And now it's going to open our file. So this is our FileMaker Pro user accessing our file. So let me get rid of this paper-based form now. I've got a iPad simulation tool on there, showing my iPad. And now I've got FileMaker Go on my iPad, which I want to now access this file on. So I literally go into FileMaker Go. So you can go and download that from the App Store, which is free. And then you just license it through the server. So we then go to our favorite host, paper to iPad, and we're just going to find our retail solution. There it is, retail solution 29th. Open that up, and there we go. So we're now into our sharing this. I also want to open this up on the browser. Oh, don't want that one on there. So on our browser, so we just need the URL for where the server is hosted. It's slightly smaller. Put that there. And we'll go to FileMaker Web Directs, just a URL there, and then we find our retail solution, and there we go. So if you can see here now, we've got our 3 people accessing this solution now. So it could be Mac, PC, browser, iPad, and if I then change this surname, you can see straight away that if I click out of that, you can see that both these devices are now sharing. So the date is changeable. So if I change the date and say, well, the join date's been put back a month, so we're going to now join on the 19th of Feb. As soon as I click out of there, you can see both devices are updating. And just really showing you the power of this is that if you had hundreds of people joining on a monthly basis, and you're trying to manage a process and you're still using paper forms, it would just be maybe going to get the form, trying to update it. At least you can just update these on the fly. So if we then have documents, so on this one, we say, well, actually, I've got my birth certificate. I'm going to drag that into the desktop. You can then see if I go to my documents on all 3 devices that my birth certificate has been added in. If I've got P45, I'm going to add it in on the browser version. You can see as soon as I click in there that's updating across, and then on say passport, again, drag and drop that in, copy of the passport. On the iPad, we can then go in and say, well, actually, thanks for joining us. Can we now sign for that? Yes, no problem at all. So I'm going to go into signature and say, yes, I'm joining. As soon as I click out of that, you can see that then updates across as well. We can say, well, the sign date, it was today. Where is it going here? There we go. Click out of there. That then updates across. And then sign by, you can then just write in there that I signed for it. And then that updates across, and just showing you the power of being able to share this. Another feature we could actually add on here and say, well, actually, let's go in and add a new field quickly. And we're going to add a new field called picture. This is going to be a container field. And we're going to drag this across to our new layout. over here. Let's just add the picture. We'll make that slightly bigger. And we're going to say, oh, okay, I've edited that. I've got 3 people sharing my database with me. But if I go to the employee details on the iPad, I can now see, oh, the picture is now available across. So I can build new features to this solution when people are using it. So if I want to then click into this field, I can then say, well, I'm going to go to the camera and I'm going to take a picture of me actually doing the webinar. And here we go. And use that photo and add that in, and you can see as soon as I click out of that field now, it's updated to our record. So yeah, so as I was here, a round of applause. So that's the end of the actual demonstration today. If anyone has any questions, please fire away. So hopefully in the last sort of half an hour, I've shown you the ability to be able to go out there, start creating great FileMaker solutions, replacing paper forms, and then giving you the ability to then share it across multiple devices.